everyone, how's it going? For today's video, let's take an up-close and personal, in-depth look at the 260 horsepower turbocharged Chevrolet Cobalt SS Coupe. And this is going to be a detailed, in-depth review of the Cobalt SS. We'll start it up, show the engine, get an exhaust clipping of the performance data, and show you many of the unique aspects of both the interior as well as exterior. And before we begin, I'd like to take a moment to extend a big thanks and special shout out to Cosmo Motors located in Hickory, North Carolina for providing the Cobalt SS featured in today's in-depth review. For more information on their dealership, including contact info and current inventory, both exotic and unique, feel free to check out their website provided in the description box below. And so, without further ado, let's go ahead and start her up, let her run. This Cobalt's finished in gloss black with an all-black interior, with SS-specific sport bucket seats featuring a combination of leatherette, grippy cloth, and ultra-luxe suede inserts, not to mention SS badging, and multiple color schemes were also available as an additional option. The Cobalt's speed-proportional electric-assisted rack and pinion steering is specifically tuned for the SS and is claimed to deliver a level of feedback comparable to a traditional hydraulic setup. A quicker 14.8:1 ratio is introduced for the turbo in 2008. It's all routed through a leather-wrapped multifunction steering wheel with color accent stitching, grip bolsters up top, and silver trim across the spokes. The SS was only offered with a close ratio 5-speed manual transmission, if you don't count the 2.4-liter naturally aspirated SS that was sold between 2006 and 2007. It featured the option of a 4-speed automatic as well. Sold alongside the supercharged SS, the 2.4-liter was later renamed Cobalt Sport with the introduction of the turbo for 2008. The SS Turbo also received a taller final drive ratio of 3.82:1, compared to a 4.05:1 ratio in the Supercharged. Launch control was standard, in addition to the option of a limited slip differential. We'll cover more gearbox details in just a bit. A digital boost gauge mounted in the A-pillar also shows gear position and the appropriate time to shift. And so, we're going to flip on the headlamps, fog lamps, and the hazards. The driver's side window is automatic down, and we're going to check out the exterior. The Cobalt first hit the market in late 2004 for the 2005 model year and represented Chevrolet's newest compact car lineup. Compared to the aging Cavalier, it was without a doubt a significant improvement in pretty much every dimension. Produced through 2010, before being replaced by the Cruze in 2011, the Cobalt was offered in both a coupe and sedan. It rides on GM's Delta platform, which also provides the basis for the HHR, Saturn Ion, and other compact GM vehicles. The standard Cobalt was never something to get excited about, featuring a range of engines, transmissions, and trim levels that basically offered affordable and efficient transportation, but not much else. The SS, though, is an entirely different story. Introduced for 2005, the original SS featured a Roots-type Eaton supercharger, designed to compete in the highly contested segment of hot offerings in the mid-2000s, such as the Mazda Speed 3, SRT4, and others. The original SS was praised for its performance and handling, which was comparable to the segment, but came at a far cheaper price, leading to a pretty good bargain for what you got, especially in the second-hand market. Thankfully, compared to the relatively dull styling of the standard Cobalt, the SS stood out quite a bit, offering a far superior design with a unique body kit consisting of more aggressive front and rear fascias, not to mention lower side skirts and unique SS wheels. The front incorporates a set of fog lamps, a lower chin spoiler, and air splitter, as well as a special upper and lower mesh grille treatment. Outback SS cars have a chrome-polished exhaust tip measuring 4 inches in diameter that rounds off the 2.5-inch high-flow exhaust system, with flared rear bumper that also incorporates a bit of mesh that echoes the front. An available deck lid spoiler helped round out the changes aside from subtle SS badges and Turbocharged badge on the right-hand side of the trunk. Other improvements include fluid-filled engine and transmission mounts for a smoother idle. The real deal came in 2008 when the SS dumped the supercharger for a far more powerful turbocharged and intercooled power plant. GM's performance division finally breathed some serious firepower into that all-aluminum 2-liter 4-cylinder. Its design consists of double overhead cams, a compression ratio of 9.2 to 1, direct fuel injection, and a 6,300 RPM redline. Other internal upgrades include revised cylinder heads, sodium-filled valves, forged steel crankshaft, and oil jet piston cooling. Variable valve timing on both the intake and exhaust sides was a new feature for 2008. Producing 260 horsepower at 5,300 RPM and 260 pound-feet of torque at 2,000 RPM, the Cobalt SS was now able to reach 60 miles an hour in around 5.5 to 5.7 seconds, while passing the quarter mile in 14 seconds at 103 miles an hour. Top speed is rated at 160 miles an hour. This was a bigger deal than you may think, as the Turbo SS develops 55 horsepower and 60 pound-feet of torque more than the Supercharged SS, improving 0 to 60 times by around a second. The Turbo even develops its power and torque significantly earlier in the RPM range for faster response. Larger drive shafts and wheel bearings were used to handle the upgrade. At the time of its launch, it even lapped the Nürburgring in 8 minutes 22 seconds, which set a record at the time for front-wheel drive sport compacts. EPA estimated fuel economy ratings between 22 miles to a gallon in the city and 30 on the highway. Premium fuel is required with a maximum capacity of 13.2 gallons. In addition to a whole host of improvements over its predecessor, the Turbo SS was the only car under $25,000 at the time that came standard with launch control. Activated by putting the stability control into competition mode, hold the clutch in, select first gear, and simultaneously hit the gas. The car will hold revs around 5,100 RPM, and at that point you progressively release the clutch and get ready to take off. GM's performance division claims the clutch used in the SS is significantly more robust, having undergone extensive testing to ensure long-term durability. They even created a no-lift shift feature that allows you to shift at full throttle without taking your foot off the accelerator. The unique software programming automatically begins to work at full throttle. It alters both the variable cam phasing and ignition timing and how they relate to fuel burn and cylinder action. All of this put together helps create more energy to maintain turbo boost. When using no lift shift, you have 0.3 of a second to perform the action before it reverts to normal action with an interruption of boost pressure. The Turbo SS features lightweight 18 by 7.5 inch 5 twin-spoke forged aluminum alloy wheels, wrapped in 255/40 high-performance low-profile tires, able to hold around 0.9 G of lateral acceleration. These wheels are actually half an inch wider than what's found on the Supercharged model, accompanied by wider tires. Stopping the car from 60 miles an hour only takes about 115 feet thanks to 4-wheel ventilated disc brakes that are all an inch larger for 2008. 12.4 inches in front with 4-piston Brembo calipers and 11.5 inches in the rear with single-piston calipers. The 2008 SS also received quite the suspension makeover for far superior handling over the previous year. The basic setup consists of independent McPherson struts up front and a simple semi-trailing twist beam axle out back. The SS employs specific gas-charged twin-tube struts up front and monotube gas-charged struts in the rear. A 30% improvement in roll stiffness owes its thanks to new steering knuckles, which work to alter the geometry of this front suspension and maintaining control through the corners. Further stiffness comes from larger 24mm stabilizer bars front and rear, in addition to new lower control arms and revised spring and damper rates. The available limited slip differential was almost a necessity with all of the torque produced, being that the Cobalt is front-wheel drive. It helped mitigate torque steer and axle hop for a more controlled takeoff. Overall length is 180.5 inches with a width of 67.9 inches and a height of 55.7 inches, running on a 103.5 inch wheelbase. Total curb weight, as you see here, is a manufacturer claimed 2,975 pounds. Now, when taking a closer look at the interior, keep in mind that compared to the Cavalier when the Cobalt was first introduced, the build quality and quality of materials was significantly improved. It doesn't necessarily mean that it's filled with premium materials. Sure, there's some soft-touch materials here and there, but overall, even though the SS is the higher-performing, cooler-looking model, it still has an overall interior that very much relates to the standard car. So, as expected, there are some cheaper materials found throughout. You do have power windows, power locks, and mirrors standard on the SS, a little bit of storage down below, and a huge door opening that makes climbing in for either the driver or passenger simple, and getting into the back a little bit easier, even though it's a little tight compared to the sedan. As far as the seats, they're unique, highly bolstered units specific to the SS. The seats are finished in a combination of grippy cloth and leatherette trim across the sides, not to mention microfiber suede-like ultra-luxe trim across the middle portion of the seats. The seats have a reasonable amount of padding, good lateral support, and definitely sit more on the sport side versus comfort, but the grippy materials definitely hold you in place. The upper portion of the backrest is flared like a racing bucket, and you also have SS logos stitched in the top of the seat. The headrests are vertically adjustable. Continuing through the interior, you have a little bit of all-weather protection down on the floor and a large dead pedal. The steering wheel is manual tilting only, and I believe a telescoping feature was never available. A little bit of storage down below with your trunk release hidden in the compartment. Your fog lamps as well as display illumination to the left, not to mention a pretty cool digital boost gauge mounted up in the A-pillar. The dash is clean and simple with pretty good ergonomics for the radio and climate control, finished off with a sunroof.
So let's go ahead and see how she sounds. So let's go ahead and shut her up.
The SS came standard with a premium 7-speaker Pioneer audio system, routed through an AM/FM radio in the dash with standard satellite radio, CD player, auxiliary as well as media integration. Side curtain airbags, padded visors, as well as a manually dimming rearview mirror with integrated OnStar controls and reading lamps all the way down below. Up top you have the controls for the automatic sunroof, as well as a microphone for the hands-free telephone and OnStar. The radio is very simple, typical of any GM car of this era. You have radio information up top there, preset stations, favorites, clock set, menu, rewind, fast forward, seek, track selection, changing different modes, going between CD and auxiliary. You have a USB input down there, auxiliary over there, and adjusting your sound and various equalizer functions, balance and fade, all the way to the far right with the little tune knob. Traction control, hazard switch, simple climate control dials in the bottom with your temperature off to the right, fan speed in the middle, different zones to the left, front and rear defrost, AC and recycling. Small storage tray with a 12-volt power outlet, 2 cup holders, an extra power outlet, some more storage trays, and cup holders for the rear occupants. As far as the steering wheel, the left-hand side is your cruise control, right-hand side are your radio commands, hanging up a call if you're using the hands-free OnStar system, and muting the radio. The right-hand side stalk corresponds to your intermittent wipers, and you have your lighting and turn signal, high beams off to the left. Gauges are in a similar format as the standard Cobalt, but spiced up a little bit for the SS. You also have a little digital driver information system right there that shows many of the vehicle diagnostics systems, temperature, tire pressure, and more. Alrighty. We're gonna shut her down. And check out the back seat. Climbing into the back seat of the Cobalt Coupe is pretty easy. The passenger side seat features a one-touch motion, so when you recline it, you can automatically push it all the way forward. And if you're in the back seat, there's actually a little kick lever down there that you can press with your foot and also make it slide up all on its own. But for the driver's seat, it features a little bit more adjustments to it, so it's a two-step process. Just recline it forward and then grab the pull bar up front and slide it. Because the doors open so wide and there's so much clearance right here between the back of the seat and the B-pillar, like I said, it's really easy to climb into the back. Now the first thing you realize when you get back here is it's definitely a little bit more of an intimate cabin, especially people, I'm going to say around 5.5 feet and up, are going to be a little bit cramped. I mean, I can sit back here, at least the way it's sitting right now with the seat pushed all the way up, but my head just barely touches the headliner if I move it forward here, but around the glass portion right here I probably have about ½ an inch or so of wiggle space. There's a little bit of extra sun protection here too, so if you are sitting back here, the sun won't beat down on top of your head quite as bad. When you put the front seats back in their normal position, the legroom pretty much diminishes unless, like I said, you're a smaller person. So if you're around 5.5 feet or more, I suggest the front seat being a lot more of a comfortable place to be. Up top you do have 2 coat hooks, side curtain airbags, plenty of glass back here, so it's pretty open overall, not really a claustrophobic space. You don't have an armrest in the middle here, but like the front, the back seat is contoured for a little bit more of a sportier side and features the grippy cloth and leatherette trim. You have 2 cup holders down here, as well as a little storage tray. But as far as amenities, that's pretty much it. Pretty simple environment. So let's go and check out the rest of the vehicle, shall we? In the rear, the Cobalt Coupe has 13.9 cubic feet of cargo space, which is pretty good in my opinion. There's 2 small levers at the top of the trunk that, if you pull them, you can fold down the 60-40 split rear seat. That's likely going to be a pretty useful feature because the opening of the trunk isn't huge, even though it's pretty good cargo space. So for taller items, boxes, and things like that, you might want to put the passenger seat forward and just set it in the rear. Now the passenger seat features similar adjustments including sliding and recline, but lacks the height adjustment of the driver's seat. Modest glove box. While the standard Cobalt was never designed to excite the everyday car enthusiast, the SS turns the dial up quite a bit with adding a bit of forced induction, a sport-tuned suspension, and sportier overall layout. In keeping with the value-conscious mind of the lineup and the Chevrolet brand in general, the SS offered quite a bit of bang for your buck. Well everyone, I hope you enjoyed the in-depth look at the turbocharged Chevrolet Cobalt SS. Be sure to stay tuned next time, there's a lot more where that came from. Take care everybody.